Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversation with Calvin, We the Species. I don't even know where to begin. Well, I'll begin 3 years ago when, and I'm just going to read my notes. 3 years ago, I did an interview with Bella Maori, and we've got two names to discuss right now. She's Dr. MELANIE-PENNY Harrison, performing as Bella Maori. And you folks can go look on Conversation with Calvin, We the Species YouTube, and see the interview we did 3 years ago. It was great. It seems like a million years ago, and all the things that have happened to you. And we're going to talk about that. Before I do anything, I got to do a commercial. I have never done a commercial before. But for everybody watching this says subscribe now. Huge favor. Huge favor. I have my battles with YouTube and subscribers, and it's so important in our world. It's part of the algorithm. It's part of metadata. So, folks, just do a little quick click for a quarter of a second and subscribe. Now that that commercial is done, let me give a little intro. Uh, Bella is about as atypical as I've ever encountered. And by the way, folks, this little podcast is now ranked in the top half to 2%, 3% in the world in longevity. I'm doing this 6 years and 500 people almost interviewed. And I've never in six continents, but I sometimes get I can't even spit it out. Your background, Bella. Uh, Philosopher, you're a PhD scholar, a filmmaker, an actress, a model, a Playboy Bunny Creator. I don't know what that is. Cultural theorist, a musician, a feminist thinker, author, and I rewatched our interview from 3 years ago. You're an animal rights activist, and so am I. You rescued a tortoise, and that's the name of my second novel. There's a tortoise in my hair. So it's just unbelievable. But we're going to focus today because you just published a book, Beauty, Absurdity, and the Black Feminine Paradox, Ugly Philosophy. And I'm actually ordering this on my Kindle, and I'm going to read it for a lot of reasons. But that's why we're here today. What a phenomenally fascinating uh, title for a book. We're going to talk all about that in your journey. So, I always tell people this was my Johnny Carson monologue. And what really bothers me is most people don't know who Johnny Carson was. He lived out in California, was one of the great late night hosts. And I was trying to model myself after Johnny Carson, which I'm not, and I never will be. But anyway, my monologue is over. How about a little bit of an intro, Bella, and we will jump in to your world of writing.
All right. Hi, and thank you for having me here a second time. I'm very honored for that privilege. Um, I'll just go ahead and say you've done such a marvelous introduction, so that leaves me just to kind of zoom into what we're going to be talking about today. I think my book is important because I use beauty, right, in a different way. I draw from my life experiences as a PhD scholar who simultaneously navigated Hollywood, modeling, and adult performing. Um, these spaces help me to ask difficult questions about identity and race and shame and basically what we sacrifice to be seen. Um, my memoir is part life story and part philosophical exploration of beauty, ugliness, again, shame, identity, and the contradictions of wanting something that can both elevate us and wound us. And so I've never heard beauty get this dissected in this way. And I just sort of wanted to bring something new to this word as we live in this era with social media and how image, pictures, and content is so prevalent in our lives.
Well said. And by the way, as I'm listening to you, I'm saying to myself how important this is for people to understand because we sometimes get buried by the illusion of beauty. And beauty just rises to the top and there's so much we're going to talk about it, but what a topic that's so well deserved and so well needed in our world to understand this stuff. Um, what and listen, we're both writers, and there has to be huge motivation to sit down and to write. So what was your inspiration, Bella, to do this?
Oh, that's a great question to start off with. Well, basically, I spent years, right, hiding different parts of my life from different people. So that's where it started right there. And so eventually I realized that the most interesting story wasn't that I had lived all these multiple lives, but more so it was what those lives revealed about me and society that we live in. So writing the memoir allowed me to transform shame and stigma into scholarship.
Okay. Um, Interesting. Um, why, uh, as I'm looking, uh, Dr. MELANIE-PENNY Harrison performing as Bella Maori, why did you use two names in the book?
Um, that is a really great question. Well, I think when we're talking about all these different identities that I had, and I used each one has their own perspective, right? So Bella Maori is my creative identity. My academic work and my artistic work speak differently. And this time, this name represents the artist asking philosophical questions through a memoir and film. Um, Dr. MELANIE-PENNY Harrison, of course, is my scholar side, my intellectual side, the way that I dissect and sort of look at the world in these spaces and kind of put a name to it and theorize those things in the culture. And so that's how I sort of um, keep those worlds. And then I also have my, I'll say, Playboy Bunny Creator side, where it's completely different. And it's another lens that is part of my personality, but it's completely different because, of course, it's something that requires people to judge you, to look at you, and it garners a lot of attention. And so I think with all of those three competing identities, I wanted to just bring all of them out to the forefront because throughout this time where I've had all these identities, I felt so many different emotions. I was, ashamed at once by what people would say to me about what I was doing. Um, just different things that I didn't want to disclose because of how society views women and I just felt trapped inside my body. And so to use all these names is sort of releasing that and taking agency over and autonomy over my life, my story, and all these things that I'm doing. And I'm okay with that.
Okay, okay. Brave, brave, that's brave stuff. Um, the memoir explores beauty, identity, self-worth. Um, why are these topics especially important today?
I think is very important for us to um, evaluate this machine. And I sort of use the machine as referring to that as a metaphor as I describe beauty, right? Um, it's like we're looking for acceptance. So I kind of look at it as this machine of beauty. It rewards us with just enough to keep us inside of it, right? But then it opens doors, it offers validation, and it promises belonging, but it also creates comparison, insecurity, and this endless striving. It gives with one hand it gives, and with the other it takes away. And so I find this very intriguing because, like, again, it goes back to social media and how everything is criticized, how everything is dissected. Is it beautiful enough? Oh, this person looks ugly? Or, that's a little more surface, but I'm just trying to bring it to a level where you can kind of understand where I'm going with it. And so I feel like we've, as a society in social media, we've just thrown ourselves into this machine and it's just overtaking us. But for some reason, we can't get out of it. And maybe we don't even want to, right? And I talk about that in my book because even though it was causing me so much, stress at times, I still perform inside of it. And a lot of people do. And so I think that's why I really wanted to bring this up and just kind of start this conversation about, what is this beauty machine that we're all performing for? And it doesn't necessarily have to be just, because I don't describe it as a physical thing,
Mhm.
it's not, it's not that. I use beauty as a term of this, it's anything that captivates us, anything convinces us that becoming, owning, achieving it will make us feel some type of completeness. And so that could be a face, it could be fame, it could be this idea that everybody has to stay youthful, wealth, success, and just this persona of having the perfect life on the internet. And so I look at it like beauty is a promise that we just seem like we can't seem to break, or it's trying to promise us something that we can't attain. And so that's how I sort of look at it.
Okay. It's funny. I watched um, whatever I could see and scrape up. The wedding uh, of Taylor and Travis, and it's funny. My takeaway, as I saw the New York Post have some pictures of the people who were attending. In my simplistic view of the world, they were all beautiful people.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. But I said that to myself. They're all beautiful people. I mean, they're all dressed, but so it seems like the whole wedding, all 1,000 guests were beautiful people. Which leads me to my next question. So you've had wonderful experiences as a model, and
Mhm.
how has that experience shaped your understanding of beauty standards? Because you are a model.
Right. That's a great question. I think in terms of modeling, right, it showed me that beauty can create an opportunity, and also it can create the fear of not being enough. And so I didn't like that. I think the thing about that I liked about modeling is that I like to create art and I like to see, beautiful shapes and, you know, um, how you move your body. And, I just think the whole industry is in that way is artistic and beautiful. But then along with that comes this ugliness, right? That symbolizes rejection and invisibility and the fear of just not ever being enough because someone's always telling you that you're not enough. You're too dark, you're too light, you're too ethnic, you're not ethnic enough. Your lips are too small, your lips are too big, you're too thin, you're too fat. It's just endless. It never stops. And so I think that's why I sort of counter those words, ugly and also uh, beauty, because I think they counter each other in a really interesting way. And so when I think about that, I wonder what other women or people in the modeling industry feel about it as well. And I wanted to open that conversation for that too. Why do we want to put ourselves in that position? Why do we want attention? Do we need it, or are we, why are we feeding something that is lacking inside of us, or what is it? And so as a philosopher, of course, I'm always asking questions.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I just wanted to explore that.
Okay. Slightly off topic, as I'm listening to you, and my mind is kind of roaming along. I see lots of celebrities doing all kinds of plastic surgery,
Hmm.
and some and I guess they're uh, and philosophically, I guess they're trying for beauty, and and not to age and eternity and all this stuff, but in some cases that one actress, I won't mention names, changed her nose around, and that, I mean, her nose was part of who she was, and she never really regained the stature she had. But under this banner that we're talking about, beauty and ugly, uh, uh, it drives some people, because that's our world. It drives some people to want to do plastic surgery, which I think is wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that's a really important point that you bring up, because when you think about plastic surgery, it's like you're always searching for perfection, and that doesn't exist. It's not, you know, perfection doesn't exist. And that's why we're so beautiful, because we're flawed. Yet we still strive for this perfect, you know, I don't know, image of ourselves, and to the point of our own detriment. And so yeah, I agree with that. I feel like it also has a lot to do with mental health and, what you've been through in your life, just trying to survive. In my case, trying to survive Hollywood and academia and all these different worlds that I was placing myself in. And I just always felt like I wasn't good enough. And so I could not understand what was going on with that. And so what I needed to do is I needed to become real with myself. And instead of just talking about like beauty or talking about it, I wanted to ask more questions, and I wanted to evaluate myself in this space. Because when you're in it, you don't really realize what's going on. You're sort of just living your life, and you're doing all these things, and you're feeling all that, you're feeling uncomfortable. You're feeling, it's just like madness. But I feel like now, while I was writing the book, I did so much reflection, and I was able to sort of step outside. I was step outside and look at all these different identities of myself and see what it was doing, what was going on, why was I doing this? And I just thought the contradiction was so absurd. And that's how we get to the absurd part, because, why am I complaining about this? And so that's why this memoir, it's not pretty poor pretty me girl, oh poor me, I'm so beautiful. No, it's not that. I never become a hero who escapes beauty or anything like that. Of course, I modeled and acted and created content and enjoyed that admiration, while also questioning the very system that I was participating in. And so that's the central contradiction here. Um, I complain about beauty, yet I stay inside of the machine. And that honesty is the point of it. And so many content creators, and I can only speak for myself because I know this world is sort of like I stay in this machine, and it feels honest, but is it really? I also feel that, beauty wounded me and it loved me at the same time. So my question is not how do we escape beauty? It's more so, why do we continue chasing what we know can hurt us? And so all these different things that are happening in my life as a Hooters girl, as a Playboy bunny, as a scholar, as a cam girl, doing content, I just kept asking myself, why do I keep chasing this if it's hurting me? And maybe you can't answer that question. It's just a machine that just won't die. And so, yeah, that's pretty much
Okay.
how I feel about that.
Okay.
Hope that answers.
No, as I'm absorbing and digesting, but I'm taking notes too. I don't know if you see me writing, but I'm writing.
Okay.
What you just said, why do we chase uh uh why do we chase something which can hurt us? I thought that was brilliant. And I wrote that down because that's just a brilliant thing. Another thing popped into my head. It's not really off topic, but it would appear to me, and it would seem to me, and I'll be able to better answer that when I plunge into your book, um, that this could be a real good tool for young teenage girls to kind of keep them focused, and kind of guide them through those very turbulent years.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, that's of course, and I did have that in mind as I was writing this because I can reflect back when I was a teenager and I was just so confused in my body, felt so awkward in my body. I didn't know what was going on. Or this whole thing where, you're this idea that you're always being watched, but then also you like being watched. And then also you feel shame for wanting to be watched. And then also with that comes the paradox, which is people are watching you and you love it. So I guess, as far as young girls are concerned, I would just say, and also women, you don't have to pretend you've escaped the influence of beauty, just embrace it. An honest examination is more powerful than perfection, right? And I think there's beauty in that.
I like that.
Hmm.
I like that. Um, um, I like this question for us authors. What do you expect and hope readers take away after reading this book, which I have to show again? Um, it took me a
Other than
minute.
saying that's probably that girl's crazy. And that's okay too, because yeah, I do have a chapter where I say I'm crazy, and I do go through some things like that. But I think I would say I hope readers leave with better questions and not easy answers. So when you talk about beauty, I could probably ask you, what is the first thing that comes to mind? If somebody would ask you, how would you define beauty?
You're asking me that. Well, something easy on the eyes, something that it leaves you with a sense of warmth and wonderment and curiosity. Somebody so beautiful. I wonder if there's more substance to that person. Somebody so beautiful. Can they speak and can they write books and so it makes me wonder in particular because it's somebody who's beautiful, there's like a neon sign over them, hey, I'm beautiful, and it 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 probably provokes more questions to ask about that person if you want to look a little bit deeper beneath the surface, and then you play around with some stereotypes. They're beautiful, but they're also smart. Are they caring? Are they into animal rights and etc. So I think it's like I'm thinking this out. It's like an open invitation more for somebody who's beautiful to be explored.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yeah, it makes perfect sense. And that answer sounds so familiar because if you read anything, you'll hear someone say they relate beauty to a person, right? And I think that's true. But I also want to expand that and say that I feel like beauty is anything that shapes our choices, um, our relationships, our sense of worth. Um, I think anything that shapes that. And so, for an example, I'd say when you meet a person, um, it's not always about what they look like, right? You want to see what's in that person's heart. You want to see that person's personality. You want to see what they're about. And so I think that gives it more layers in that aspect. So if you think about beauty in a philosophical sense, um, anything such as I said, choices, relationships, and anything that gives us a sense of worth deserves philosophical attention. And we need to sort of ask ourselves, um, how are we relating to this? How are we, you know, viewing beauty? And it's so weird to me, Calvin, because when I was writing this book, all I could think about was the beauty in other things, except for beauty in myself or a person. So I would think about the beauty of art, the beauty of music. And I have a chapter in that in my book about how the guitar saved my life.
Yeah.
And I guess with that, could kind of segue me into what you're talking about. Um, with the guitar, I use that as an example in my book because it's the only beauty in the memoir that feels completely honest. So I talk about Hooters and how I didn't feel beautiful enough because, I was always striving to, I couldn't be a Black woman. They say you couldn't wear braids, you had to be thin, you have to look like a white girl dipped in
Wow.
chocolate. And then
Wow.
to go from that to, Playboy Bunny, all the Playboy Bunnies are blonde, blue eyes, white women. And then to go from that to academia, in the scholar world, um, I wouldn't say there's not Black women, but it's, you're looked at a little bit differently. And it's like I'll use an example of it's harder for Black women to get tenure than it is and it's easier for white women to get tenure in academia. And so I think that's also in that beauty machine as well. And so when I talk about the guitar, I felt like it was the only thing that feels completely honest. And in the book I talk about when my fingers hurt, right? The instruments are telling me truth. I feel it. I see the calluses on my fingers. It never asked me to perform attractiveness or desirability. The music is reflecting exactly what I put into it, and that is why the book, I won't give it away because I was going to say something in the end, but I don't want to give it away.
Give it away.
But yeah, when you read the book, you'll see how I explore that more fully, and the beauty just in music, right? You're playing notes, you're hearing a sound, and never once in this entire time that I was writing this book did I think of myself as beautiful.
Wow. Wow. I can't stop writing. You're giving me a lot of stuff to write. Well, well for me, because I write this all up, and it's that's a powerful thing you said. Wow, this is heavy stuff. All right, you know what? Let's take a little break. I may have asked you this stuff 3 years ago, but maybe it changes. But I love these two questions, and I'll confess to you, I borrowed one of these questions from Barbara Walters, who was a hero of mine. A great
Mhm.
a pioneering woman journalist. Anyway, I may have asked it, but things changed and stuff. So, uh, excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
I remember this question from the last time I was in your show.
Do you?
And I
Okay.
want to say the same answer, but
You
I
can
know I
say the
probably
same.
can't because oh God, the last time I was here, I said Jesus,
Okay.
and that would be so amazing to ask him, like, why. I want to know why we're here, and this is something that Calvin, I've been searching for my whole entire life. Is why are we here? Why are we on Earth? What is the point? And I wrote a paper on that because it's just so fascinating to me. Like, we're just here in this world and we're trying to navigate it, and why, so I think I would ask him that. But I guess if I can do something newer and not the same answer, I would say Malcolm X,
Okay. Okay.
and I would
Well,
ask him.
yeah. Hey, look, I came out of that. I came out of the '60s, and from the time I was 10, and I write about this, I was aware, and I was aware about race and about all that stuff. So even though I was 10, I was aware, and it's been part of my life, and I've done whatever I can, and it's been part of my life, and it's still a part of my life. Uh, and I've been watching Netflix had a really good 5-part series on an American Revolution, how we became a country, and
Hmm.
it boggles my mind. I don't. This is heavy stuff. It boggles my
It is
mind.
very heavy. It is.
It's heavy stuff. How, hey, they don't broadcast it, but George Washington was a slaveholder. and so was Thomas Jefferson. I just have such a hard time, and there were so many battles, we the people, and inalienable rights and all this stuff, and we write constitutions and bills of rights, and we forget about people,
Yeah.
and but anyway, and of course, Jesus. I have my own relationship, and actually, I've been invited to speak at a church. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, an interesting church. It's a little bit different. It's a
Mm-hmm.
church, and I've been invited to speak because of my journey and that
Mm-hmm.
story. You know, getting healed.
Exactly.
So I'm going to do that. But anyway, just to got to take a breath here, just to lighten things up.
Oh yeah, because I was gonna say I would ask Malcolm X, given what you went through in the 60s, how do you suggest we approach the racism that's going on right now in the 21st century? That's what I would ask
I
him.
like that. I like that. You know what? He was a hero, and he was a brave man, and he was fighting for what he believed in, and and uh uh and everything about him. I have no, a lot of people, objected.
Hmm.
Nothing to object. He was wanted freedom for people, and,
Yeah.
and that's a beautiful thing. So yeah, I watched that movie. It was powerful, and listen, I lived through all that, and it was just part of who I am.
Yeah, that's amazing that I mean, I can only imagine living through that. Oh, because
I
I
lived
I
through all
watched
of
like,
that, and I watched it, and it all bothered me, and I used to confront my mother when I was a little kid. Why this and why that, and there really were
hmm
no, real answers. And I told you before I'm on air, my journey and the things I've done. Not that I'm not in any history book, but the fact that I got a chance to talk to John Lewis,
hmm
tell him about some of the things I have done, and so he grabbed my hands and he squeezed my hands, and that made it all worthwhile. Everything I've done and everything I believed in, et cetera, et cetera. The back. I have to send you a copy. The back of my tortoise novel. There's a wonderful picture I drew, and they compared me to Basquiat. I'll send it to you later. Uh,
Okay.
and
Well,
that
I'm gonna get your book after this. I'm gonna go in there because your book is available everywhere, right?
it's what
It's everywhere, right?
it's Amazon. It's Amazon. I'm trying to get it. We could talk about that. I'm trying to get it in other places, but Amazon to start with. But I'll send you that picture. It's a heavy
Okay.
picture. It's I drew it in 1970 in the middle of everything. Vietnam, civil rights, the whole thing, and it
Hmm.
expressed how I felt about the world. And it's a powerful picture. And when I posted it, people say, "Hey, like Basquiat." Anyway, to lighten things a little bit, how about
Yeah.
how about some of you? And then we'll go back to work for a few more things. How about some of your favorite movies? I always like to ask that. I'm a movie guy.
Okay, well, I have a new favorite movie that just came out this year. Um, it was the one with the vampires, um, and Michael B. Jordan, Sinners.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that movie was spectacular. Uh, but let's see, what am I in any genre? Is it genre specific or?
No, just whatever you like. I'm a Casablanca guy, so I'm
I
stuck.
was getting ready to say Casablanca.
Do you like Casablanca?
Yes, Humphrey Bogart, of course.
We
I
gotta
was getting ready to say that. It's one of the best movies ever. Oh my gosh.
we can
Yeah.
talk about that. Actually,
Yeah.
organizing. I've seen the movie now 202 times. And I'm putting together a little panel of folks to talk about that movie because it embraced so many different things. You can look at it, it embraced race because here Dooley Wilson
Yeah.
is such a prominent part of that and is such a dynamic character, and it embraces a million things, even on the directorial side. What a genius Michael Curtiz was,
Hmm.
the way they made this film, the way they used shadows, the artistry of making a film, and the artistry of screenwriting. You
Speaking of
know,
that, I like because I'm a big fan of cinematography. So I love this movie, Road to Perdition. I mean, the cinematography in that movie is just spectacular. It's so beautiful to see. yeah, I like cinema, you know, where all of that is just, I mean, cinematography, soundtrack,
Yeah.
camera angles, all those things are telling the story. And so I'm hoping that we get back to just really good filmmaking and not just throwing out all these AI movies. It's really
Really,
weird, but yeah.
really to tell us a people's story, just
Hmm.
people, no special effects, none of just
Yeah.
just
Hmm.
people and emotion and stuff. And yeah,
Yes.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
I remember when people with the movie would be over, people would clap afterward because it was so good.
Yeah.
Now it's like I don't know if that happens so much anymore, or
No, no, we could
yeah,
sure use that.
you're just
Uh,
trying to get the heck up out of there.
yeah, yep. I watch all the time also From Here to Eternity. Uh, and it was Frank Sinatra. That's what put him into the stratosphere. It takes place in Hawaii right before the war and before Pearl Harbor, and it's just a great character study of people in
Mm,
war and love and this and
hmm.
the ending just rips my guts.
Hmm.
And I watch it probably every month because I'm
Yeah.
crazy.
I
I'm
also enjoy movies that do character studies. I love when they flesh out the characters.
yeah,
You know, I mean, it's just so beautiful and not a lot of screenwriters or directors have that talent. So whenever you see it, you appreciate it so much, and it really adds so much depth and realness to these
yeah.
movies. You know, yeah.
Okay, couple more. Take a deep breath. A couple more things. What do you help women take away from your work?
That's a great question. There's so many things. I mean, like I said earlier, you don't have to pretend to be someone, just feel agency and autonomy in your body. Don't feel shame for anything that you're doing. And yeah, I say tell women that beauty is not, you shouldn't feel shame in anything that you do that you feel is beautiful to you. And so, yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Hmm.
Don't feel shame.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially because shame is such a theme in my book because of the different worlds that I was in and placed myself in. And I know a lot of women go through that same stigma. And so I want them to feel empowered instead of ashamed and hiding the way that I used to feel. Because, when you do that, you give so much people power over your life. And so I thought to myself, I'm going to take my own story and I'm going to take charge of my narrative and I'm going to tell it the way that I want to tell it. And I'm not ashamed. And this is my life
Yeah,
and this is who I am.
it's
And
great.
so I just want women to feel that way as well.
That's great. Okay, I like that. You're so real. By the way, and I said this. I don't remember when I said it before. Your life really is a movie to be made. It's just an incredible journey. And you're so young, and the things you've done, it just boggles the mind. And I'm so thrilled that I've had the honor and the pleasure of spending some time with you for a second time, maybe a third and a fourth. We'll see where we go. Maybe one day we meet in real life. Maybe if I go to the Academy Awards one day. That's a
Yeah.
little
Yeah,
fantasy of mine.
I really want to emphasize before I leave this interview that I really believe in independent work. And so all of the work that I've done, aside from things that I've done like in Hollywood or in the industry, in that mainstream space, but things that I've created myself, I really want to encourage people to take the initiative and create their own work and be independent in your creativity. And so I'm not interested in being like a household name or selling, I like this indie space that I'm in. And I just want to encourage people to do that as well. And I know the way society is there's so much access now to different ways you can produce your own shows. You can, you know, there's doors that are open now for independent artists that weren't open before. And so that's another thing that I probably would just say, keep on pushing, finish what you start because you want to complete a project. And so, yeah, I just wanted to add that to it.
That's great. By the
Mhm.
way, I'm 100% indie.
Yes, yes.
100% indie. And one of my favorite things that I do every March as part of the Garden State Film Festival, which is one of the country's largest indie film festivals, is
Hmm.
I take 10 days and I put guns to my head. Why am I doing this? And I interview 40 actors, actresses, uh, screenwriters, directors, in conjunction with the film festival before the film festival goes on. It's my commitment to the world of indies. And there's so many amazing, wonderful filmmakers out there. And the last 2 years I've done this, so I've interviewed about 80 people. It's all up on Conversation with Calvin. And and it's funny, my takeaway as I'm learning the world of indies, I'm an indie I'm self-published, I'm an indie, and all of these amazing people on their journeys. It's so interesting. If I had to pull out the same word that everybody said in these 80 interviews, it would be funding.
That's a lot of interviews, Calvin.
It's a lot of
Was it
interviews.
like was it a speed or like did you have a time clock or how did you
Well,
navigate that?
there were some days they did 4 or 5 interviews, and especially if I was interviewing somebody who had a film that was entered in the Garden State Film Festival here in
Hmm.
California. I interviewed him, 11, 12 o'clock my time. Sometimes I went to 1 in the morning. So sometimes I
Hmm.
do 4 or 5 a day just to kind of, but I loved it. It was intense and I loved it. And I begged them, give me a 2 month window, but they couldn't do that, to space it out because they had, it was some legal stuff. I had to just cram it in, but it was my commitment to the world of indies, whatever I could do. And it was great for me. I got a chance to see some of these films. A lot of them were short films, which I love, and the artistry and the creativity and the brilliance.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
It's so much more authentic. Not saying that mainstream like big Hollywood isn't, but there's just this family element to it.
yeah,
And I feel like the indie people are those kids that were weird in school and they were like being in the plays and the Shakespeare plays and stuff like that.
yeah.
Just very creative and trying to find their way. But but yeah, I wanted to say that I want to leave readers with, I don't need people to agree with me. I just hope they question the systems that taught them how to value themselves and others, right? Um, if the book makes someone reconsider the relationship between beauty, shame, and identity, then it's done its job.
Perfect.
And I'll
Last question. Where can people get this?
Oh, it's at every major bookstore and um social platforms and
Great.
libraries. It's everywhere. So I don't know if
Okay.
you put the links in your
I do. I'm gonna put
yeah.
these.
It's Barnes and Noble, Amazon, it's even international, Kobo, Apple Books, it's everywhere. So you can
Great.
find it.
Perfect.
Hmm.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So we have done this, and I'm just so glad, thrilled, and grateful that you reached out. You said you were going to come back, and you did.
Yes, I told you I
Yeah.
would.
And that's great, and that's continuity, and that's special. These are special, human characteristics and loyalty and stuff. And I'm so glad you did. And now I'm on your team. My job is to promote this, and I will, and to promote you, which
Thank
I've
you
done.
so much. I couldn't wait to hear back from my publicist because I was like, are we still on? Are we still on? I remember texting him like, did he say he's
Well,
still on? He's still on. He's like, yeah, he said you're still on.
absolutely, absolutely. So, we're going to sign off. Don't leave. We'll do a 2 minute wrap. But
Okay.
I can't thank you enough, Bella. This has been just fabulous. You know,
Thank
two
you
pages
so
of notes, and
much.
it's been great. I love doing that. Thank you. Don't leave. And maybe to be
Okay.
continued, you can come back anytime. I sit in this chair 12 hours a day, but thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I'll come
Thank
back
you.
again and again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't
Thank you.
leave.